Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Mark Russell. I'm a financial wellness board member with the National Debt Relief. I have over a decade of experience working for some of the largest financial firms in the world, and it's my goal to make very complex topics that you see every single day, financial concepts you see every single day. I want to make them easy for you so you know how to transform your financial life. Today, we're going to talk about how to get rid of your debt if you are a veteran. As you adjust to civilian life, it can be very challenging to make that full adjustment, not only personally, but also financially. With that, you might have big moving expenses, unforeseen medical expenses, difficulties finding a stable job after serving the country, right? There's a lot of reasons as a veteran that you might come back to the United States and feel that you are struggling, right? Luckily, there are certain programs and resources out there available to you for the people who have served this country, let it be the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, whatever it might be. And with that, I want to make sure that you are able to take advantage of all those services so it can give you the better chance at a great financial life. But first, let me describe why this topic is so important to me. So my adopted dad, he served in the Navy. My biological dad actually served in the Air Force, and my little brother is currently stationed in Turkey, serving for the Air Force. And as you can tell, that topic is really, really important to me. So I want to make sure I give you all the options that you can possibly need in order to make that transition as smooth as possible. First up, we're going to talk about debt consolidation. Debt consolidation means consolidating multiple smaller debts into one larger debt. Now, with that, you'll get a new big loan, which you'll use to pay off those smaller debt balances, leaving you with one big debt and one creditor to manage. This type of debt relief is extremely powerful if you can get a relatively low interest rate on that big loan versus having multiple small or big interest rates on multiple loans. And because you are a veteran, you sometimes can get more favorable terms on that new loan, even if your credit score is not that great. One of the bigger pros of having debt consolidation is that instead of having multiple different loans, you can have one big loan, and that's the only one that you need to manage. This makes it way easier to handle your debt. Also, because you are lowering your overall interest rate, you lower your monthly payments, which often shortens the amount of time it takes you to pay off all of your debts. So if you can get a consolidation loan with an interest rate lower than the average interest rate of all of your outstanding debts, this might be the way to go for you. But you also want to keep in mind, if you're currently in the market for a house or a car in the short run, you may want to consider a different option and not this option that we're talking about. And the reason why is that getting a consolidation loan might impact your credit score, which could make it way harder to get favorable terms on your mortgage or your car loan. Fortunately, there are some other ways of getting debt relief that's tailored to veterans. So you have debt settlement as being one of the most popular routes. This method of debt relief entails that a debt negotiating expert, you have a professional who works along with you to negotiate your debt on your behalf with your creditors. And what they're going to do is everything in their power to make sure that you reduce the amount that you owe. Then in theory, you can afford those monthly payments that are coming through because that amount will be less. And because you are or you were an active duty member, it's often easier to negotiate with those experts to get more favorable terms. Also, one thing you want to keep in mind is that creditors are often more than happy to work with you, as they much rather get a percentage of a smaller balance rather than going through the risk of you going through bankruptcy and them receiving nothing. The pros of debt settlement are the following. In many cases, you'll get plenty of financial education and resources specifically aimed at getting back at your financial life and taking complete control of your financial future. You'll get quality information laying out precisely how to handle your outstanding debt. And often you have time to ask specific questions to the debt expert that you're working with. Also, debt settlement often saves you money, and in many cases, negotiator will be able to negotiate a lower total debt amount. It also has the potential of saving you time. How? Well, your outstanding debt could get reduced, and because your debt is being reduced, the time it takes you to pay back your remaining debt could likely decrease as well. So here's how it works. Once you enroll in the debt settlement program, you start making deposits to an FDIC insured savings account instead of paying back your creditors. This money is then used to pay for settlements whenever your debt relief agency reaches an agreement with the creditor. A good thing to keep in mind is that getting part of your debt settled can cause a dip in your credit score, just like taking out a debt consolidation loan, which is something you want to be aware of. And what is also important to note here is that the IRS sees canceling debt as making a profit. And because of this profit, you have to pay taxes. But don't worry, your debt relief expert can help you handle all of this by providing you with the financial education and resources that you need. And all of this education and resources are all aimed at financially empowering you. Another thing to keep in mind is that with debt settlement, you need to have an income. And the reason why is that creditors will need proof of income before they can start to work with you. So if you currently don't have an income, this type of debt relief might not be the best option. So you might be asking, what do I do then? And that would be public service loan forgiveness. So if you do not have an income, you have a poor credit score, and you're struggling with your outstanding debt, you may qualify for public service loan forgiveness. And as the name suggests, it's a service specifically aimed to people who serve or served in the past the government, or they served in the military, whatever it might be. And it can help you remove your outstanding debts all in one go. To qualify for public service loan forgiveness, or what some people call PSLF, without any additional screening, you must have worked 10 years for an eligible nonprofit organization or a government agency and made 120 qualifying monthly payments to repay back those debts. Now, if you meet those requirements and cannot repay your outstanding balances, your loans will be forgiven in theory. So to submit for public service loan forgiveness, you have to submit two things. First, you will need to fill in the financial status report, which is also called VA Form 5655, and I'll make sure that link is in the show notes. Second, you will need to write a personal statement clearly explaining why you think you shouldn't have to repay back your debt in full. This personal statement should be information you cannot find in your VA records currently. It should be new information. Do you want to see if you qualify for PSLF? Fill in the PSLF help form on the government's website. And the entire process is pretty quick. It takes about 30 minutes. But that 30 minutes can save you thousands of dollars potentially. I'll also make sure that that link is in the show notes. So now that you know the three main debt relief options for veterans, let's quickly recap the most important details. If you currently have an income, you can get a relatively low interest rate on a debt consolidation loan. But if you cannot get a debt consolidation loan with favorable terms, debt settlement might be a better option for you. And debt settlement might be a good option if you're in the market for a house or a car in the short run, as the debt consolidation loan might impact your credit score and thereby make it harder for you to buy a house or a car within the short run. But for both debt consolidation and debt settlement, you need to have an income. And if for some reason you don't have an income and you have debts that are impossible to pay off, you might qualify for public service loan forgiveness. And you might get all or even part of your outstanding debt forgiven if you meet the requirements for public service loan forgiveness and you can convincingly explain why your outstanding balance should be forgiven. Again, to learn more about these options, I'm going to make sure all the links are in the show notes, so check them out. And with that, I'll see you on the next episode.